about learning new things and making difference. Today we are having this workshop especially for the visually impaired people to make them aware of the opportunities awaiting for them in different professional ways. For the same, we are having some inspiring personas on our panel whom I welcome today, namely Ishan Jan, co-founder and COO of Escafade. Before commencing, I would like to request you all to turn off your mics to avoid any sort of discrepancy. You will be given time in the end to put up the questions to the speaker. Now, without taking much of your time, we will start our workshop by inviting our first honorable speaker, Dr. Rajdeep Manwani, who is a lecturer, TEDx speaker, motivational speaker, life coach, and an occasional quiz master. We are elated to have you, sir, with us today. I welcome you on behalf of Escafade and request you to take over the mic.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, and it's an absolute pleasure being here. I always tell this, like, when family members praise you so much, you feel very nervous because the visually impaired family is a part of my family since I'm visually impaired. And when your family members praise you, you feel very, very nervous. I remember a few years back, my wife praised me in front of her friends, and the next day she asked for jewelry. So you never know what's going to happen. So thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Let me start off with what I've been asked to speak, and I'll come back to the question and answers another half an hour or 40 minutes time, depending on what I'm going to take. Uh, there was this very interesting story which had happened. There was this boy who was around 14 years old. He was in his 8th standard, and he was very, very fidgety. He never used to get good marks in class, and he was very, very uh, he wasn't a good student at all. This was in the 1980s, and his mother, seeing that his lack of preparation in the study, is very active, not doing anything in the study, with all the time fidgeting, moving around here, took him to a psychologist. And this psychologist was told by the mother that this boy doesn't concentrate, he's failing all the time in all his subjects, and there is a big problem with this boy. What do I do with this boy? The psychologist looked at the boy, and he looked at the mother and said, okay, I'm looking at this boy, I don't know. I want to speak to you about this boy in the next room. The boy got even more nervous. And as the psychologist was going out of the room, he, in those days in the 1980s, we had something called as audio cassettes, which is similar to your MP3 players now. He put on an audio cassette and put on a dance number. Okay, in India we have some nice dance numbers, and he put on a dance number and he walked out of the room. And the lady followed him. She was also very nervous. What has she seen in my son? He locked the room behind her, and then as they went out of the room, she said, what happened? Why did you call me out of the room? Is there a problem with this boy? I didn't know that it was so severe that you had to speak to me outside the room. He said, don't worry. He took her to the adjacent room, and he opened a small window which opened into the room in which the boy was. And there, the psychologist and the woman saw an amazing sight. They saw this boy dancing away to the melodies of that without any abandon, was dancing so beautifully. The psychologist whispered to the mother and said, your son doesn't have a problem. He's just a great dancer. This boy later on went on to become India's most coveted dancer. His name was Shamak Davar. Shamak Davar went on to start his own brand of schools, Shamak Davar dance schools, and he choreographed in several shows across the globe. But the reason why I told you this story is sometimes we take up something as a career not knowing what we are good at. So today, the first part of the talk, 15-20 minutes, will be to just throw light on what do you mean by career, what does this career entail, and then I will describe a few 10 or 15 careers which may be an option for you all, just may be an option, because there are hundreds of options in the world, right? Because each one of us is unique. What is a career? I looked up the Webster's dictionary, and there was this nice definition which was given there. A career is a means of earning your livelihood. And I wasn't very happy with the definition. And being an educationist and being an individual who's very passionate about making children find their right career in both the disabled field and the non-disabled field, I looked up some other definitions, and there was one beautiful definition which was given by a person called Sir Ken Robinson. Sir Ken Robinson is one of the most celebrated educationists in the United Kingdom. He's written some beautiful books. One is called Element, one is called Creative Schools. And in fact, if you get a chance to see his TED Talk, it's brilliant. I think so. It's one of the highest viewed TED Talks, in the top 10 viewed TED Talks in the world, crossing I don't know how many million. In fact, when I did my TED Talk, I drew inspiration a lot from him, seeing his TED Talk at least 3 or 4 times to see where can I improve my TED speaking. And he has given a very interesting definition, modifying the definition which is generally given by the Webster's Dictionary. And it says a career is a means of earning livelihood with individual satisfaction and external contribution. And I thought those two extra words, individual satisfaction and external contribution, make all the difference. Earning your livelihood is great, isn't it? You make your own livelihood, you get money out of it, and it's a fantastic thing. But coupled with that, if you are satisfied at the end of the day, because you're going to spend 2/3 of your life in your career, 12 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours sometimes if you're so passionate, and you're also going to make a difference in society, it adds up to your happiness quotient. So I generally tell students that there are 3 types of careers: the livelihood career, the good career, and the meaningful career. A livelihood career is a career which will give you a livelihood. And I see a lot of visually challenged students take up this livelihood career, even though, because there's a great sense of security, you know. In my university, there were a few visually challenged students, and they took up a job in Goldman Sachs, and where they do a little bit of analysis, but they love talking, but they're spending their whole day on their desk, but they're being offered a wonderful salary, 30,000, 40,000 per month. They get those Sodexo coupons. This was before the pandemic. They get a pick up and drop from home, and they are earning the money, but they love talking, they love interaction, but their whole job is preparing Excel sheets, doing data interpretation. Now, this career is good in one way. It gets you a security, it earns you money, but the frustration starts setting in after 4 years, 5 years. And I've seen this in my long career of 25 years in Jain University, where after 4 or 5 years, they say, oh my God, we don't feel like going to work. It's a great job. And by now, the salary would have touched 50,000 rupees. Some of them would have got settled into a family, and now they can't leave the job. And the frustration starts exhibiting in some other way, in a disease or in some other way. So you have a great career as a livelihood career. But the second career which I talked to you about is a good or a satisfying career. A good or a satisfying career is a career which not only earns you a livelihood, but also gives you that individual satisfaction. Some of y'all might be aware of a person called Abraham Maslow. Abraham Maslow was the one who gave the motivation. He wrote a beautiful book called The Motivation and the Personality. And he gave a motivational triangle where he talks about what motivates an individual. And the highest level of motivation, which he talks about, is something called a self-actualization. What is self-actualization? In the Indian scriptures, we have it in the Bhagavad Gita. It's called Swadharma. Okay. What is this self-actualization? Maslow very beautifully puts it in the way where he says, what a person wants to be, he must be. If he becomes something what he is not going to become, then what he doesn't become eats him up. A carpenter must cut wood. A plumber must fix pipes. A painter must paint. And if he does that, if a painter starts plumbing and a carpenter starts painting, they might be okay, they might get the money out of it, but after a point of time, that starts eating that person up a little bit. So understanding that there is, every individual is born with a certain passion, is born with a certain level of interest, passion, and that inner desire to do something. As I told you, we call it Swadharma, or the inner urge to do something, or self actualization. When you realize that and start doing that, and then your career becomes a paid hobby. I love to speak. My passion is speaking. So I speak around the country, I speak around the world, and I get paid for it. Not here, okay, please, but wherever. But so now what happens is, for me, I'm doing something which I love, but I'm also getting paid for it. So that is called a good or a satisfying career. And how do you know what's a satisfying career? And if you've seen, some of the greatest individuals are those who have got a satisfying career. I remember Virat Kohli in 2019 scored 254. He batted for nearly two days. Those who are from outside India, you'll have to listen a little bit because we in India are passionate about a game called cricket. Okay, and it's a national passion. Okay, and there was this. He scored 254 against a country called South Africa, and he batted for nearly 2 days. And when he came out, and everybody said, "You might be really tired," he said, "No, I just didn't feel it." And that is a person who's actually living his satisfying career. Psychologists call it living in the zone. When you're in the zone where what you do doesn't tire you but energizes you. I speak for 1 hour, and after 1 hour, I'm not tired, I'm energized. You are actually coding for 45 minutes, and after 45 minutes, you're not actually tired, you're energized. You are actually teaching somebody in a class for 30, 40 minutes, and you're not tired, you're energized. So, what is that which energizes you rather than which makes you tired? That is your satisfying career. Where are you in the zone where time stops for you? When you sit, I have a friend, in fact, who is also visually impaired, and he loves playing the piano, and he teaches piano to children. And he says, when I'm teaching them, I tell them it's a 1 hour class, but I don't even know when 1.5 hours goes. You're in the zone and the time has stopped for you. His friend, his name is Justin. He's a very, very good musician. But for him, time stops. And that is a career which actually satisfies you. You're energized. Time has stopped for you. You'll ask me, so how do we know what is that career which actually makes our self-actualization? Ask yourself these questions in a day or two. What energizes you? What is that activity which energizes you rather than which makes you tired? Where does time stop? Ask yourself this question. If I had all the time and all the money in the world, what would I do? If I had all the time and all the money in the world, don't answer now. Now, let's say I put 1,000 crores in your bank account, and I tell you, you have no worries about anybody and you have all the time. What would you do? Would you teach? Would you code? Would you design mobile apps? Would you do social work? Would you do something in computers? Would you do start your own venture? What would you do if you had all the time and all the money in the world? What would you do if you were not going to fail? Ask yourself this question. What is that one thing which I would do if I were guaranteed to succeed? So these small 4 questions: what energizes me? What makes time stop for me? What would I do if I had all the time and money in the world? And what is that work which I would do which I were guaranteed to succeed? will give you a clue. And I'll tell you a secret. You know, I did my graduation in commerce, and what do you expect a commerce graduate to become? A chartered accountant, a master's in business administration, a manager, a cost accountant, a entrepreneur, a finance executive, a HR manager, the CEO of a company. But you know, three of my most successful classmates, even though they did Bachelor of Commerce, they went on to do something great because they followed their passion. And in fact, they're the most famous in my batch. One of them is called Gangadhar. After he finished his graduation in commerce, he was very passionate about speaking. He took up a law degree in National Law School, and he's one of the highest paid criminal lawyers in Karnataka in India, where I stay. Criminal lawyer, they pay him 1 lakh per hour. Other guy he did his MCA. He was passionate about computers, and those days computers was in the nascent stage, and he became an antivirus specialist. He was one of the core designers of the first antivirus which came up in the world, which was called Norton. Okay, and he's one of the greatest antivirus specialists in the world. His name was Rajmohan. Nothing to do with commerce. And the third, most of you who have joined from India will know, became Rahul Dravid, one of India's most prolific run scorers and cricketers. So never know. Now the third career, which I want to talk to you before I get into the careers, is a meaningful career. Now, what is this meaningful career? A meaningful career is a career where you not only do something to satisfy yourself, but you also contribute to the society in some way or the other. There was this very famous book which had released several years back. It was called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It was written by a person called Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey was from Australia, and he wrote this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And after a few years, he wrote another book, which was called The 8th Habit, Moving from Effectiveness to Greatness. The 8th habit, moving from effectiveness to greatness. The 7 habits were for effective people. The 8th habit was moving from effectiveness to greatness. And what was the 8th habit? The 8th habit was find your voice and help other people find their voice. Find your voice and help other people find their voice. What if you are so passionate about law that you lose yourself while arguing a case, but you also take up some cases for social justice and help an entire community? You're not only finding your voice, you're helping other people find their voice. You're not only a great maths teacher, but you also go out to those underprivileged children and teach them so that they become good at maths. You're not only finding your voice, you're also helping other people find their voice. So a great career is a career which is a meaningful career, which gives you some meaning in life, that I'm doing something for my individual satisfaction, but I'm also moving to the realm of helping those with my passion, right? I know a friend of mine, he was actually teaching in a school in a place, and she found that after the students went home, there were a few students of all the attenders and those small people, those in the surrounding area, the rural areas, whom she used to teach for the next 1 hour. And she said, that gave me so much satisfaction. I'm teaching the normal kids in the morning, but I'm also teaching so many other people who need my job at that particular point of I'm speaking. But if I can make a difference and inspire so many people, it gives me more joy. So that is the 3 things. So get these 3 basics right. Choose a career which not only gets you a livelihood, but gives you satisfaction and makes you contribute to society. So that should be put in first before I go in. Now talking about where do we get these careers and what are the careers which are available for visually impaired people. Next experience. And I know all of you are smart, you'll have done research, but let's list out a few of them. I'll do it very, very briefly because my time is traveling fast. First set of careers, let me talk about careers which have a more artistic and creative outlet, and Siddhant will talk about it a little more in detail, but I'm talking about more of the writing and the speaking part of it. You can take up a career in journalism. For visually impaired, journalism is a brilliant career. I have a very good friend of mine here in Bangalore itself. His name is L. Subramani. He's an amazing journalist. He works for a newspaper here called Deccan Herald, and he does an amazing job of copywriting for them, writing articles on a regular basis for them. Sometimes he does a little bit of investigative journalism. What you need is a master's in journalism. What you need is good communication skills. What you need is an ability to understand situations and respond to those situations. Correct or no? I'm not talking about journalism which is yellow or which is scandalous. I remember uh, reading somewhere that once uh, the religious head of a country, the Pope, went to Russia, and as soon as he landed, a group of journalists asked him, uh, Pope, are you going to visit some of the vodka pubs in Russia? Vodka is a drink. And the Pope very innocently asked, are there any dedicated vodka pubs in Russia? And then the journalist answered yes, yes, and then they went on to the next day. The headlines of the Russian newspapers read that the first question which the Pope asked when landing in Russia is, "Are there any dedicated vodka pubs in Russia?" Now that is yellow journalism. That is journalism which is not the one. I'm talking to you about being truthful, being in the right sphere, and you can take up this course if you're interested in writing, if you're interested in going that. And I've seen people with visual impaired. At least I know two or three people, as I told you about my friend who's done extremely well, and I know at least two or three other students of mine who have gone on to do journalism. Another set of careers which you can choose in the writing field is creative writing. Are you good at writing? You can be a great novelist. All of you all have heard creative writing. You all have heard of J.K. Rowling and her Harry Potter novels, how they become a sensation. She's one of the richest women in the world, earning royalties of millions of pounds every year, right? You can become a great creative writer if you have that sense of looking around, fantasizing. There's a beautiful saying which goes, and this is what you require to be a good creative writer. The saying is, logic can take you from place A to B, but imagination can take you everywhere. Logic can take you from place A to B, but imagination can take you everywhere. So if you have a fertile imagination, if you can imagine different scenarios, different situations, you can be one of the greatest murder writers like Agatha Christie. You can be a fantasy writer, you can be a normal fiction writer, and there are so much good talents. So you need good communication skills. You can take up a course in creative writing. You can express yourself in a world. I don't know if you'll have heard of this. There are several people, blind writers. I don't want to mention a few and insult them, but one of my favorites is a guy called Ved Mehta. He was in the 1980s and 1990s. He used to write about kite flying. Being a person who was visually impaired, Ved Mehta, so many more, all right? So there are so many more, Saloni Gupta, all of these, they write brilliantly. They have a wonderful, Ved Mehta was brought up in Europe itself, and he used to describe scenes, how things go, and we have a crop of amazing writers. So you can take that as a career, and you have a great career in them if you hit it off in your short stories, in your literary writing, in whatever way you take it up. The third career, which is closely linked with journalism and creative writing, is something called as a psychologist. Okay, now why I tell you psychologist? A good observer of human behavior is also a good writer. Now let's leave the journalist and creative writing apart. Let's move to the psychology part of it. What is psychology? It comes from two words, logi, lojo, which means the purpose, and psycho means the soul. So when you find a purpose for your soul, but this is not what it is. When you understand human behavior, the ability to understand human behavior, ability to counsel others, ability to be a good counselor, ability to be a good clinical psychologist, a health psychologist, a sports psychologist. Now, I have examples for each one of them, but I have no time. I know of a great counselor. I do a little bit of counseling voluntary. I'm a lay counselor here in Bangalore. I do a lot of help in grief counseling, marital counseling, and child counseling here in Bangalore. But uh, there are cases. I have a friend of mine who's also visually impaired. His name is Azim. Yeah. Okay. He does a lot of counseling, and he was telling me the other day, and you'll come across strange cases. I had a woman there the other day who had come to. Is that an indication for me to stop or something?
No, you're okay. Keep going.
Yeah, I could hear some background. Yeah. Okay. So there was this case which came up. There was this girl. Uh, she was very normal in my college. She used to behave very normally, but whenever she used to see a cat, she used to get wild, and she used to go and beat up the cat. And in and around my college, she had killed around 3 cats. This was a very strange behavior. So I sent her to Azim, my blind friend, for counseling, and he is a very thorough, even though he wouldn't make out the facial impressions, but by the tone of the voice, by the texture of your voice, by the way in which you speak, and the probing questions we ask, making you feel comfortable. He slowly drew out from her, what is it? Why do you hate cats? This, that, and all. And she used to say, no, no, but in his very, very subtle way, after 3 or 4 sittings, he came to know that this girl was very troubled because when she was around 7 years old, her mother died and her father had married another woman. And about asking her small, small questions, he found out that her stepmother wasn't very kind to her and she was very rude and didn't treat her properly. And incidentally, her stepmother had cat eyes, she had green eyes. And this girl was taking out all the frustration on some other boy. But once she was aware of this, once that came up to her, she broke down into tears and now she's almost normal. A person just by understanding. So you can become a school counselor, and there are so many issues. And now, especially in the pandemic, there are hundreds of issues where you have people going through depression, through loneliness, and you can be a great counselor, sports counselor for people who want to achievement counseling. I know a friend who does that, who's also visually impaired. So there are a lot of scope for all these as a field of psychology. So these are the softer sides. Now let's come to the commerce side of your careers, which you can explore. There are several amount of commerce careers also which you can explore on the commercial side of the angle. The first one, which is very close to my heart, is being an entrepreneur. Because the university where I teach, we incubate a lot of young startups, especially children who come out with a great idea. We ask them to make a pitch, and if they are good enough, we generally fund them. A little bit of seed funding is provided to them, and they started. And we've been very fortunate to have at least 3 or 4 of them who have gone not unicorns, but almost baby unicorns. Okay, unicorn is a startup which reaches a state where it reaches a funding which makes it self-sufficient after a period of time. So uh, as an entrepreneur, the ability to innovate, start something new, start a business of your own, and rather than being an employment seeker, you become an employment provider. That is one of the careers. And you say, sir, is it possible for visually challenged people to be entrepreneurs? Definitely, it's possible. I've seen at least, let me count, at least 3 in my area, Bangalore. who have become very, very good entrepreneurs, and in fields which you might not even imagine. One of them is the owner of 3 restaurants. Without seeing, he is the owner of 3 restaurants. It's called the Food Circle. His name is Lakshmi Narayan. Lakshmi Narayan is visually impaired. He's partially sighted. He's got around only 20-30% of his vision. But he said, when he wanted to become, he passed out of his BCom, and everybody said, "Oh, to become, you want to start a restaurant, you should know how to cook. You should know how to clean the dishes." I said, "I've never seen that happen for an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a one who assembles the resources and gets the work done from people. You should just have a general idea, the risk-taking ability, find a good location." And he did that. And Food Circle now serves on Swiggy, Zomato. Although it's been hit by the pandemic, he had 3, and now they might be closing down 1, but 2. But those are very, very iconic now because he serves authentic South Indian food, and he's doing pretty well. He's doing extremely well as an entrepreneur. I know another person who started his own uh, uh, paper plate making. He ordered 2 paper plate making, these paper plates, so there was some scheme where he bought 2 machines, and they have a scheme where they make these paper plates and cups which they serve for these. And nowadays, because of the pandemic, you need disposable plates, and he's doing extremely well. In my college, the person who supplies chalk to some of us, we still use the chalk and talk, even though there is a great talk about the markers and all that. And he supplies chalk. So you can, if you have that ability to innovate, come out with ideas, take that risk with innovation and fill a gap. Find out what is lacking in the market and come out with something to fill that particular gap. There's a beautiful saying which goes by Zig Ziglar, which says, "You can get in life whatever you want if you help enough other people get what they want." You can get in life whatever you want if you can help enough other people get what they want. So look at entrepreneurship as a career. The second career is finance. Why did I talk about finance? Because I teach finance in my college. Okay, I teach income tax, I teach financial management, and you'll be wondering, this fellow teaches finance. Yes. Okay. So you can become a professional in finance. And I know, again, two of my, I'm going to give you examples from my area, because I can speak about authority about people I know, right? So there were these 2 students from my college who went on to clear their MBA in IIM, and 2 of them, both of them visually impaired, took up finance as a career, and now they're working pretty well. One is working in Tata Motors as a finance analyst. So finance is a career. What is finance? Basically, availability of funds when it is required. And what are the careers available to you? You can become a chartered accountant. I have another blind friend of mine who's doing extremely well. She heads CBM's entire finance. CBM is one of the world's highest funding agencies for NGOs. Her name is Rajni Gopal Krishnan. She was, I think so, the first blind chartered accountant. After that, a lot of them have gone through. So there are now nearly 8 or 10 of them who are visually impaired, who are chartered accountants. You can become a cost accountant. You can become a financial analyst where you analyze the statements. You can do a lot in the field of finance if your passion is numbers, if you love numbers, if numbers dance in front of you, if you have the logical and thinking ability, you can take up finance as a career, isn't it? And again, don't do it the wrong way. There was sometimes I heard there was a organization who was trying to recruit a chartered accountant who could file their income tax returns. And so they were conducting the interview. As soon as the chartered accountant came in, they asked them a simple question: what is 2 plus 2? The first person who came in, he said 4. He said, okay, we don't need you. The second person came in. He said, what is 2 plus 2? He said, sir, 2 plus 2, I can make it 22. They said, good answer, but we don't need you. Then the third person came in. They said, what is 2 plus 2? And this man went close to the person who asked him and said, what do you want me to make it? I'll make it that and show it to the income tax department. He said, you're recruited. right? So I'm not talking about manipulating figures, but I'm talking about getting the right, true, and fair statement across. So finance is a great option. HR is a great option, human resource. And I know plenty, at least 65 to 70% of the students who clear their MBA and who go into the commerce field take up HR as you can be a great recruiter, getting the right person for the right job, choosing the person whom you want, selecting them, training them. I know at least a few of them working in Accenture here in Bangalore who are trainers who train them on soft skills. You can be a performance appraiser where you observe their performance and prepare a sheet and find out. I know a person who's visually impaired. His name is Wasim. He's working for First American as their key talent acquisition specialist. He recruits people for the call center for First American. First American is a call center in Bangalore. And he's so good at choosing the right people for the job that when he wanted to leave, they nearly doubled his salary. They said, no, we need you so much. We don't want to relieve you. He's doubled his salary. Now, in the last, I think so, 8 years, he's got 3 increments. Whenever he wants an increment, he tells them, I'm going to leave. Okay. And First American is really, they say we depend on this guy because he chooses the right BPO guys for us. So that is nothing but your HR career. You can have everything. And you can also move into the legal part of HR in case you're interested in labor laws. You can get into different, there are so many, there are plethora of legal laws, Gratuity Act, Bonus Acts, Workmen's Compensation Act. So you can get into that field also. What about marketing? What is marketing? Very interesting. What is marketing? Let me tell you. There was this boy who came from a rural area and he was recruited by a mega hypermart store in the US, in Los Angeles, in California. And this was selling everything. So the manager took pity on this boy who came for a job and he said, okay, I'm giving you a job as a marketing sales executive. So this boy went in there, and after 1 week or so, this man came up to him and he saw him at around afternoon time, and this boy was sitting around and he said, hey, young boy, I recruited you a week back. He said, yes, sir. He said, oh, okay, you're sitting around here. How many clients did you service today? He said, sir, only 1. The manager was furious. He said, I recruited you 1 week back so that you can service at least 10, 15 clients a day. And today you're sitting here at 2 o'clock. You've come here at 9 o'clock and you've serviced only 1 client. Aren't you useless? How much was the sale for that client? The boy looked up and said, $48,000. He said, $48,000? He was flabbergasted. He said, you're crazy. $48,000 you sold to 1 client? What did you sell him? He told, no, sir. He was looking for a fishing rod. So I said, if you're buying fishing rod, why don't you buy fishing hooks? And I said, if you're buying a fishing hook, after selling it to him, I told him, why don't you buy a fishing line? After buying the fishing line, when he was about to move out, I said, where are you planning to go fishing? He said, I'm going to the Bay Area. There's a Bay Area there. I told him, see, if you go to the Bay Area, there is no way you're going to get a boat to help you fish over there. So we've started a new boat section, motorboat section here. Why don't you come here? I'll tell you. We've started and we're giving an inaugural 50% off for our motorboat. And I sold him a motorboat. And as he was taking his motorboat, I told him, how are you going to carry it? Your car is so small. So I sold him a good SUV from our newly opened SUV section. And that's how I made a sale of $48,000. The manager was thrilled. He said, you're amazing. For a man who came to buy a fishing rod, you sold all these things. He said, no, sir. Who told you he came to buy a fishing rod? He had come to buy a paracetamol, a Crocin tablet for his wife. And I told him, if your wife is sick, what are you going to do this weekend? Why don't you go fishing? That's how I sold him the fishing rod. Now, the reason why I told you this incident is sales and marketing is discovering the potential of the customer. So when you discover the right potential of the customer, it is called marketing. And if you have that ability to understand the customer needs, find out what they want, how they want it, when they want it. All the 4 Ps: product, price, place, promotion. Get all that into thing and get into advertising. Something related to that is digital marketing. You can get into digital marketing, search engine optimization, search engine engineer marketing, your web pay-per-click advertisement. If you're good at, there's a beautiful saying, if you want to hide a dead body, hide it in page 2 of Google, because nobody goes to page 2. Everybody wants to see only page 1. So how do you figure out and put the right phrases so that everybody sees your ad on the first page? So you have marketing, you have HR, you have finance, you have entrepreneurship, you have public relations, where you maintain a strategic relationship with the media. If you are not in good terms with the media, they'll twist your story. There was a watch company here in Bangalore called HMT, and they didn't have good public relations. Public relationship is maintaining strategic communication with all the media so that you get good coverage and the right coverage. And this HMT, it closed down, but it was a watch company, and they were making losses for several years. But after a few years, they made a profit, and the CEO gave a press conference and he said, press, I've made a profit of 2 crores this year after suffering huge losses for so many years. So the press said, wow, but what were you expecting your profit to be? So he said, I was expecting my profit to be 4 crores, but even then we made 2 crores, that's good enough. The next day, the paper headlines read, expected profit of the watch company falls by 100%. It was supposed to be 4 crores, but it fell by, it's only 2 crores. So you can, if you're not maintaining good relationship with getting a good media degree. Okay, coming to the last set of careers before I open it up for questions. Other computer related careers and the tech related careers. You can become a web developer if you're good at HTML, if you're good at your cascading CSS, if you're good at your MySQL, and if you're passionate about commerce and programming, there are several courses available as a web developer, as an app developer. You need Swift for your iOS, Java for your Android. So are you good at that technological field, problem solving, where you deal or you get into the scientific part of web development and app development? Or you can also become a cybersecurity professional who actually creates those firewalls for your information security, for your security highways, etc. And add to all that, you can become a good business analyst, because remember, now data is the new oil. A person who can actually collect data and analyze it in the right way. And I know a friend of mine who's, again, a boy called Mohammad Irfan, who's a blind student, who's a business analyst. He's working for Reuters, Thomson Reuters. And he says, analyzing the data, collecting data, presenting the data in a proper way, giving it to the management so that they can take decisions which will help their company to move to the next level. Did you know that, there is this Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? They used to donate millions of dollars to the sub-Saharan African countries to eliminate malaria. And the data analysis expert in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation found that even though they were donating millions of dollars of medicine, quinine, the malaria rate was not coming down. Then after going through a lot of data, he found out that the people who were dying over there were people who were very weak. So he asked Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to shift their donations from quinine to better modes of agriculture and cultivation. And Bill and Melinda Gates shifted around 50% of their funds to better modes of cultivation, growing better crops, reducing malnutrition. And now the rate of death by tropical diseases in Africa has dropped by nearly 80%. Just a little bit of data analysis. And that is what will help you. So just remember, children, I'm calling you children with the authority that all of you are going to take up careers now. Remember what I told you. Career is not only means of earning a livelihood, but it's also satisfaction combined with contribution. Remember, your career can be a livelihood career. It can be a good or a satisfying career, but can you move it to the next level and make it a meaningful career? And then you have the world which opens to you. You have careers in the field of writing, careers in the field of commerce, careers in the field of computers. But every time, remember that you are unique and each career is unique to you. So I'll end with this. You remember that there are millions of galaxies in the universe, but our galaxy, the Milky Way, is completely unique. It's totally different. There are millions of solar systems in our galaxy, the Milky Way, but our solar system, a tiny speck of dust, is completely unique. In our solar system, you have millions of matter, space matter, asteroids, other planets, but our planet Earth is completely unique. On our planet Earth, there are millions of life forms, plants, animals, insects, but our life form, the human race, is completely unique. And out of the 785 crore people on this planet Earth, you are completely unique, and your career choice should also be completely unique. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enthusiastic and knowledgeable words. Now we are open to questions from the audience. I request everyone to begin with the same by raising your hands or either dropping your questions in the chat box, keeping in mind that we have only 10 minutes for this questionnaire round. So we
In
have
case you don't have questions, you can always mail it to me and I'll respond. So that's not an issue if you are getting, if you all don't get. Yeah, you have any question? I didn't get your name, madam. Who's speaking?
so my name is Akarshi Gupta.
Very good. You speak very well. Give it up. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So we
Yeah.
have the first question in the chat box.
Yeah.
The question is from Karan Gupta. He's asking that what's the future of Tableau software in India for visually impaired, just in case I switch my career after spending 12 years in administration and facility management.
Oh, now can you just read that? What software? I didn't get it.
I don't know the exact pronunciation, but I guess it's
Just spell
Tableau.
it out.
Tableau.
Okay. What is the in software India? If I move after career failure, now whenever you're moving to any career, and especially if you're making a jump from facility and administration to Tableau software, always understand that there are two types of jobs. One is a better job and one is a better paying job. Okay. Now, if you're moving just because you think that software is a better paying job, you'll have to reconsider it, correct? The fact is that you might get a higher salary here for 2000, 3000, 4000, whatever it is. But if you're not going to be abreast with what is the new software development, if you're keen about it, if you're very enthusiastic, if you breathe software, if you're curious about it, if you like software, if you feel that coding is your job, if you like problem solving, if your analytical skills are very high, then shift, because then you will find your niche whichever job you shift to. But if you think that just because 3,000-4,000 more, but I think so, I'm very good at facilities and administration. I like the way, and I've spent 12 years in it. I've got the requisite in experience, and I know how to handle it. But I'm doing it just for the 3,000-4,000. I learned this new software, even though it's going to be a little tedious, and I'm going to feel a little drudgery about it. Then don't do it. So just make that distinction. Ask yourself this question 3 or 4 times. Am I shifting because is it a better job or is it a better paying job? If it's a better job and I'm interested in coding, classifying, analyzing, then go ahead. I have no job. But just because it's a better paying job, don't do it. Okay.
The next question we have is from Sumit. I want to be a perfumer. Can a blind person be a successful perfumer? How?
Absolutely, you can be. In fact, now I think so. There are courses for perfumery sciences. I don't remember the school where they offer it. You might have done research on it. And perfume is more of a mixing and matching different fragrances. So you don't have to worry about it. That's an absolute yes from my side. Perfumer is something which is there. You might need people to help you in the mixing part, because it's a little technical part regarding the chemical part, right? So if you want the woody fragrance and the rosy fragrance and the orange fragrance, correct or no? So a good perfumer is a one who has a knack of identifying good fragrances. And I know some of my students who have started to take up this job, and they love it because they say that. So let's say you like the pure rose fragrance, and then you mix it with the pure lavender, and then you see how much percentage of lavender and rose should be mixed to give a new fragrance. I think so it just requires good sensing abilities and smelling abilities. Little bit of chemical knowledge is required, but I think so you should take it up. And no job is out of bounds for a person who's has the passion to do it. So I think so go ahead if you're passionate about it, and if you can understand scents properly, if you love scents, which I also love. I don't know, I've collected so many scents, I don't know when I'll use them in my life, but I love them. So so if you're passionate about perfumes, please go ahead, correct or no? I would love to take your blended perfume the first time, right?
The next question we have, the person is asking, can a visually impaired choose psychology as a subject?
Of course, I just now gave you the example of Azim, how we decoded the case of a woman. I know another lady called Surekha who's blind. Just recently, she was telling me that uh, you can become a psychologist, and psychologist doesn't mean that you always become a clinical psychologist. You can become a sports psychologist, a health psychologist, a food psychologist. Psychology is a huge field, and I know several, means in Bangalore itself, I know at least 15, 20 of them who have taken up psychology as a career. It's a brilliant career. If you love human behavior, if you like understanding the nuances of human behavior, if you know, if you think that you have the knack of listening, you have to be an extremely authentic listener, an empathetic listener, a good listening skill, a good understanding of human psychology, the way the human brain works. You can understand that, and you will. And also psychology is like any other field where you get better as time. So it is no, absolutely means we can contact me and I can refer to you to at least 20, 25 people who have become psychologists who cannot see. So don't worry. So psychology is an absolutely yes, yes. You can go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for the same. The next question we have is from Meet Modi. Um, he wants to know that what's the view regarding on mass communication or PR job? Kindly guide me because I'm doing my last year of BA and I have to choose my corridor, but it will create a lot of difficulty to choose better path.
Now okay, you're in your last year of BA. I know all of us go through that anxiety. Now after that, you're saying mass communication or PR job. See now, when you take up a mass com job, no, mass com can be a newspaper journalist, which I told you. It need not always be a job which is on the field. So keep that in mind. So generally the fear is that if I take up a mass communication job, like let's say a newspaper journalist or a radio journalist or a TV journalist, I'll be sent to the field and I have to run around and collect data. That's only one part. After the news is collected, you have news bureaus also, PTI, Press Trust of India, ANI, Associated News International. They'll collect the news and they give you. You have to edit the news, present it in the right way. You can be a great radio journalist where you can be a presenter. Why do you have to go around? I know a blind friend of mine here, Sandeep Rao in Bangalore, who's a comedian plus a radio presenter. So who stops you from mass communication? Means mass communication is not always being on the field and running around. It can also be a content editor, it can also be a news presenter, it can also be a job which is actually getting down to the copywriting, designing advertisements for your client. So mass communication and public relations is maintaining good relationships, sending the right articles to the people at the right time. There is a student of mine who was visually impaired. I forget her name. Devki or Devina. I don't remember. I just forgot her name. Okay. Devina, I think. Devina, she took up a job in a PR firm here. What was it called? I'll tell you the name. Okay. It just slipped because it was many years back. And she was the main PR person for a hospital which was launched in Bangalore, which was called Narayan Hridayalaya. It's a heart hospital. And in the first year of its launch, she got at least 3 or 4 positive coverages in most of the newspapers. Public relations is, unlike advertisement, you don't pay, but you create. Her doctor, Devi Shetty, he did some heart surgery on a 2-year-old child from Pakistan, and she sent an article saying that heart knows no barriers. She did some very, very good coverage for them. And now she is married and she's settled. She didn't want to continue the job for a long period of time, but she did an amazing PR job for that particular hospital. So don't think that it's only field job. It can be a mass comm, and a PR job can also be. So take it up. If you love mass comm and PR, please take it up. Don't hesitate about it.
Now we'll be taking the last question from the audience. That is, what is the performance of blind in ITI field, like in machinery works or other ITI like abled person?
Okay, see here, there was a collaborative study which was done between Jain University and the IIM Bangalore here, where we had a few visually impaired persons who were working in this cardboard section in ITC. There is not ITC, Hindustan Unilever. We have a Kisan factory here in and around Bangalore. Kisan, they make squashes, and also for their cartons and all that they had for this thing. So they were working. Now, the whole thing depends upon the training and the machine supervisor who was there. So what they found was that in the initial stages, although it was a little difficult and the entire process was quite challenging for the persons to train the visually impaired people, but after around 12 or 15 months, they found that the performance was as good as those of normal people. And in fact, there was no absenteeism or labor turnover. So once these visually impaired people who are making these cardboard boxes and boxes in that machinery field, in the lathe field, once they had got used to the job, they stuck on to the job for 5 years, 6 years, while other normal employees generally left in 2 or 3 years. So absolutely initial enabling environment is required. What we found, if there was an enabling environment and a supervisor is willing to put in the investment for the first 3 or 4 or 6 months on the visually impaired, the performance will be at par with lower labor turnover, with them not leaving the organization. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, sir. That was indeed a helpful duration with you. I know our audience are like very curious and having a lot of questions from the panelists, but as we are running out of time, so we request you all to stop your questions right over here. You will be getting a link of a Google form in which you can drop your questions, and we'll ask it in the end from both the panelists. Now, moving on, I would like to welcome.
Just one small thing. I will have to leave. I have to take another session somewhere else. So I just want to thank the entire Escafet, Be My Eyes, and all the other panelists, and you, the host, for being such a wonderful host, and all the panel participants for asking such beautiful questions. Thank you, and may God fulfill all your dreams. I will exit from the meeting at present. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your time.
Thank you.